Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fantasycraft: The Last City, presented by You Don't Meet in an Inn, an actual play podcast about exploring obscure tabletop role playing games. I am your host and GM for this evening, Austin Ramsey. My pronouns are he and him. You can find me and the podcast at Not an Inn on Twitter. And if you'd like to see any of my game design work, you can find it at austin-ramsey.itch.io. This evening, I am, of course, joined by Christine.
Hi, I'm Christine. My pronouns are she or they, and I'm playing Dorothy, the unborn mage.
Great. And, of course, also with us is Hadrian.
That's me. I'm Hadrian. My pronouns are he, him, and I will be playing Viper, the martial artist.
Wonderful. Sasha will be joining us a little bit later. And we will fold them into it when they get here. Okay, so who remembers what happened last week? Well, not last week. We've had 2 weeks off for various reasons. So who remembers what happened 3 weeks ago?
We annihilated a whole town full of fish people, and we freed some whales.
Yep.
Not the whole town. One of them got away.
That's true.
That is true. Okay. So, let's see. What's Madame V doing that has to excuse Sasha's absence?
Well, I mean, all of our flares that we got were in the colors of "we're dead" and question mark, I think. So maybe they're riding Gentleman Moose to inform the ship full of people the standing situation.
Sure. That works. Okay, so Dorothy and Viper. The two of you are in chest high and calf high water, respectively, as you stand next to each other on the outskirts of this Sea Devil outpost. There's that little security booth nearby, along with a whole bunch of corpses around you, face down in the water in various states of destruction.
Mm-hmm.
What do the two of you want to do?
I've got some whales to tend to. Personally, Viper is definitely headed that way with little to no regard of the spoils of victory.
Okay, and Dorothy?
I'm going to cast Brawn 1 on myself so that I could gather the bodies together and then go off to search to see if I can find any idea of what kind of funeral rites they would have.
Okay. So I guess we'll go over to the play screen since you're casting spells, and that means taint, potentially.
I am at 2 levels of taint right now. Scroll up. So I need DC 19 to cast it. I do cast it. Now I have +3 to my strength, making it a mighty 12. And then that costs 2 spell points. And then the DC for the will save should be DC 12, I think. Okay, well, it's a little bit more. Oh, and that didn't even account for my negative for some reason. I had that in there. Okay, well, I double fail it.
So now
It's
you're at
okay.
3 grades.
3 grades of taint. One more and I'm possessed. But it was worth it because I got guns now.
I thought Madam V left.
Hmm.
Okay. So you're putting all the bodies in a pile, and then
Yeah, yeah.
looking through the various structures in this community.
Hmm.
All right.
See if there's like a graveyard or something. I don't know.
Okay. So as you are, uh, since you don't need to breathe, being a vessel for a soul,
Hmm. Hmm.
you're just walking around underwater.
Hmm. Yep.
What gear do you have with you?
Um, well, I have my saddlebags on the dog, which have the majority of my gear. And then I have my backpack, which I will take off before I go submersing myself into the water.
Okay, and so your dog is just gonna stay at the in the brackish water waiting.
I'll put dog at the guardhouse and tell it to notify me, but I don't know. I don't really know it very well. I assume it will bark if it sees something.
Which you will surely hear deep underwater.
I mean, Rosemary or Foxglove will hear it, so.
Foxglove is staying with dog.
Yeah. If you'll remember, Foxglove came onto the scene riding majestically on all the
Yeah.
whales that
Mm-hmm.
she had charmed with her winning personality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
Okay. So, as you give me hmm.
Well, the gathering of the body should take some time, so.
Yeah. Okay. So Viper, you you swim over to the whales because they are understandably not. They have not beached themselves
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
nearby. We saved you. Now you're free to throw yourself upon the land and join us. Okay. So yes, the whales that were freed are much like the ones you freed earlier, juveniles who are very confused and have a very limited vocabulary even as these whales go. So what do you want to do with them?
Well, I'm going to go through the introduction process again with them as I did with the other two, and also maybe do some veterinary medicine check here to see about removing some of these restraints that are on them,
Okay.
the bone spikes and what have you.
Yes, so as a reminder, they have those, as you put it, bone spikes embedded into them, which act as sort of like eye bolts for kelp ropes threaded through them that are used both to as reins on the whales and also occasionally to restrain them or to carry cargo nets beneath them. So
Yeah, so mainly right now I want to make sure that they feel safe and calm and see if I can do anything about that stuff.
okay, so give me a medicine check.
All right.
Do you have any interests in whales?
Oceanic ecology.
You should get a bonus, right, Austin?
Yeah, I think
You're right, Austin?
I think that's applicable. You can take that +1.
Well, no, because it is a rule, but I can't
Mhm.
remember if it was a house rule or.
Yeah, no, it is.
All right, I'm going to roll this bad boy and come up with a 14 plus 1, 15.
Okay. So what you remove the bone spikes from the whales, and they're clearly pained by it. What do you do to calm them while you're going through this?
I'm absolutely certain that Viper knows some sort of whale equivalent of like a lullaby.
Oh.
Uh, of course, Viper knows a couple of whale songs.
Mm,
Um, yeah, so they are fidgety, but with you tending to them as you're removing the spikes and singing this lullaby, they they don't grasp the culture behind the whale song insofar as I well did the whales have culture?
well, they definitely had language, and language implies some level of society.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I sort of mean like, is this song that you're singing to them, is it
this was
soothing notes, or is there like lyrics of a sort? Is there meaning behind it beyond just "Be still, young one"?
I don't. I think this is probably more of just a soothing sounds the Vipers coming up with on the spot, more than it is an actual performance of a piece of music.
Okay, so you're making pleasant cooing noises.
Basically, yes.
So it's like when you shush a baby, and the shushing is like
Mm-mm.
brings to mind the environment of the womb,
Hmm.
allegedly.
It's whale baby talk.
Are these whales like feral children?
I would say that that is an apt comparison.
That's awful. This is awful. I hate this.
Hey, the apocalypse sucks. It turns out.
Apparently, I don't know. I read a book that says that. Uh,
Okay, so yeah, you keep them calm by cooing at them, and you remove these bone spikes, and you endear yourself to these whales while you're doing this. Uh, so Dorothy,
yes.
you've gathered all the corpses together,
Uh-huh.
and you're now going to go and search through the community to find what you can.
Yeah. I guess that's an investigation check or a search check.
Uh, Search is about finding stuff. Investigation is about understanding it. So it's sort of a question of like, what is your goal here?
My goal is to put their souls to rest in an appropriate way to their culture. Maybe not like the exact funeral rites. I don't think that they'll just like have that listed in Saurian for some reason. Um, but like, is there like a place where I find where they put their dead, or do I have to sort of jury rig it?
Okay. I think that it's probably an investigate to try and understand the functions of the structures that are underwater and part of this community.
Okay, 18.
All right. So you go underwater, and a number of there's a number of buildings down here. You're able to sort of note by having a quick look over each of them what some of them are. There's clearly a couple of residences. There's the whale pen. You find like not a granary, but a food storage building. You find 3 other unique buildings as well. One of them appears to be some kind of manufacturing facility, which, if you investigate later, I mean, it's clearly not what you're looking for. Is basically what I'm saying here. Another one appears to be a laboratory, and again, clearly not what you're looking for.
Yeah, but like I grabbed the notes in there.
Well, are you stopping then? Or are you continuing to look? I'm not saying you can't get that stuff, but it's sort of a question of like, what are you prioritizing here?
Yeah, I will prioritize tending to the bodies, but I'm definitely snatch and grabbing all those notes.
Okay, and then the last unique building you find is not so much an enclosed structure as it is a small amphitheater of sorts. There's like stepped seating carved into the stone of the coast, going down to a raised, perhaps it's an altar, might be some kind of table in the center of the seating. And you note that the table, as you get closer, you note that it is more of a table and less of an altar, as it's a flat surface supported by 4 legs. And then you thought it might have been an altar because there's a bunch of stone cubes that slot in, like, underneath the table, between the tabletop and the ground that it sits upon. There's these stone cubes that slot in there. And you can see that there's clearly space for more, like, the space where these stone cubes are is not full. There is a front row that is completely filled, and then there is a couple behind that it looks like they're filling up the next row of this space beneath the table. So there's probably like 15 of these stone boxes under the table, with the first 12 hiding the space underneath it by filling the front in. Am I making myself clear?
No, not to me.
Okay. So, a table, right?
Right.
And then underneath there's the empty space of the table.
Right.
So there's these stone cubes, like, imagine like a Rubik's Cube but stone. And they have been stacked one up, like, upon each other.
Wait, what do you mean by a Rubik's Cube?
Sorry,
just a cube?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know why I went with Rubik's Cube.
Stone cubes.
Yes.
Got it.
There's these stone cubes stacked upon each other and arranged into a row like a wall.
Okay.
And they are at one side of the table, so that it looks like when you viewed from that side, the table looks like it's solid as opposed to having 4 legs.
Okay.
And then behind that first row, there's 3 more boxes showing that, like, it would continue to be filled with these stone cubes at some point.
Can you open the boxes?
Yes. So I'm guessing you're opening one?
Yeah.
Okay. So you open it up, and there is like a bubble of air comes out from within the cube.
Okay.
And
now I'm just desecrating graves. Great. Okay.
you look inside, and there is... It takes you a moment to realize what they are, but then you realize that it is teeth and presumably mummified internal organs from the sea devils
Okay.
inside of these cubes.
Okay. And are there any pre-made cubes?
Yes, you can see that, like, on the floor sort of surrounding the raised dais that the table sits upon, there's a bunch of these cubes that are closed but clearly have different intent since they are not underneath the table. In fact, I'm going to say that, like, the one that you picked up, you could hear something like inside of it. But the ones on the floor, you don't hear anything if you give them a shake.
Okay. Okay. Good to know.
Yep. Also, an important note, there is, like, a discoloration on the top of the table, indicating that there has been, like, repeated applications of blood to it.
Okay.
Blood definitely works like that underwater. Don't think about it.
Well, if you want to go with that, how'd they get those mummified remains down here?
Okay.
Sunny beaches nearby. I don't know.
So that's what you find, Dorothy. What do you want to do with it?
I don't know. I don't know. What I want to do is I'm gonna go to the laboratory and
I'm gonna promptly decide that I don't have time to mummify 8 corpses.
and try to decide what I'm gonna do. Probably some sort of sea burial.
I know I said I was going to bury you in the way of your people, but what about my people? How's that work for you?
I have to punt on this one.
It's not the way of my people. I just I don't know, I would imagine that, if they want their remains mummified and buried, I don't know the ritual aspect of it, but especially in a place where magic is real and gods have a very real impact on your world, there's a difference. If I were to burn them, for example, that might invalidate their path towards some sort of resting place. But so I don't want to go so far out and burying or even burying them, the elements are significant and important. So I'm trying to figure out what to do. Is there any iconography of any gods in this area? Also, where's that sheet where we detailed what the gods were?
Find that planning document link.
Are there any iconography? I'm not sure how religious they are, actually.
That seems kind of silly when there's actual gods. Our gods in our world are up for debate, but here it's they will smite you.
To be fair, there's only one currently smiting the world.
Yeah, well, we don't know what the other gods have been doing. We just know that one is particularly active.
One of them's being a real butthead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that there is inscription on the table, and each of these cubes also has an inscription on it, but because you don't speak their language, it's unclear if these are rites or the names of the fallen or praise to a god, or even just this side up.
Please don't open.
Oh dear. Well, a little late for that one. Yeah, so that's what you find there in that amphitheater. And then you're going to make your way to the laboratory.
Mm-hmm. Get my Luton sack.
Okay. So, what are you doing down here in this lab?
I would like to see if there's any writings here or any like books or scribblings that I could take with me. And then also, you said it's a lab. Is there a chemistry set?
Yes. So, the reason you were able to tell that it was a lab as soon as you like poked your head in through the door is because there's very clearly a chemistry set down here. In fact, it's a fairly extensive one. It's more of like a chemistry workshop. And it's clearly made by land dwellers. Like,
Oh, yeah.
there's
I
glass.
was going to commend their underwater glass blowing skills.
Yeah, so there's like glass flasks and pipettes and steel. There's stands that have like a verdigris on them, supporting those glass features. It's clearly there is a burner that is going in spite of the fact that it is underwater down here.
Okay.
No, that sounds...
It's burning like with a hot white bright flame.
Someone just leave it on? They were asking to be
I
killed.
mean, we didn't exactly announce our arrival.
Maybe you turn it off. Lab safety 101. I bet they don't even have an eye wash station.
So yes, there is something bubbling away here that is incomplete, or on its way to being complete, or is complete and was just left cooking. For all you know, it's a coffee. But yeah, there are also a couple of books down here. Give me an investigate check. See what you can pick up.
18.
Again. Okay. So yes, there is maybe I'd say there's probably about a half dozen like tomes down here. One of them is set aside and is in fact looks to be sitting like it's open to around the middle of the book, and there is what looks like ink from this chemistry set, like not dripping exactly, but like injected. You realize as you're looking at these that these books aren't so much written in as they are tattooed. And this one was in the process of being tattooed with whatever is going on with this chemistry set. The other ones are different. The other ones are clearly just like normal writing insofar as a book that needs to be tattooed can be considered normal writing. The one under the chemistry set is something else.
What do you mean by normal writing?
Like,
Like stories?
I'm. I don't think you got high enough to interpret what is in these books, even.
Are there pictures?
Yes, there are some, like, naturalistic sketches of a sort. Also, this is very clearly ordered writing. It's not like haphazard notes. Whoever was taking these notes had a purpose and direction in their writings. These sketches, you can see sketches of people and animals, including birds. They appear to be in natural surroundings for the most part. Some of them appear to be in the swamps around this community, I think you're able to put together. Lastly, it is very clear that all of them are sparked in the diagrams. You can see the indication of like the arcs of electricity that come off of them.
Just a bunch of lightning bolts.
Just about. A bit more naturalistic and a bit less emoji. But yeah, absolutely, there are arcs of electricity coming off of these creatures featured in these documents. What else? Yeah, so that's what you find down here. Do you have any questions?
No, I'm just gonna scoop them up and take them with me.
Okay, and are you doing anything with the chemistry set?
Can I take it and have it count as a chemistry set?
So there is enough chemistry gear here that if you take it all, you can set it up either on the Quadlibet or in the townhouse as a chemistry workshop. Or it also could count as 5 chemistry kits if you wanted to like keep one for yourself and then sell the rest, for instance, or hand them out, as there is that one member of the crew who is there's at least one member of the crew who is a chemist.
I'm a chemist too now. Yeah, no, I'll set it up on the ship. I'll take it so that we can set it up on the ship.
Okay, that'll take a bit of effort and time,
Together
obviously.
with our giant friend and make some even better bombs.
So Viper, while you are tending to the whales, you notice that it wasn't clear from the shoreline or from the ship because it was so low to the water. But you realize that there is actually a dock in this community. Not like an underwater dock, but one it's designed to float on the surface and is secured down below by the heavy kelpin ropes that the sea devils use. So you notice that.
That means they were trading with surface dwellers.
Or that this was an older community that they took over.
That dock wasn't there when I left 9 years ago.
Okay. Did they take over a community here, or is this just no, honey? No, is this just a completely new development? Is this gentrification?
There wasn't like a village in the lagoon or anything. It was just sort of a wild area. The actual village part of where my people lived was slightly inland.
Okay.
So, what do the two of you want to do?
Let's see. Let's see if I can try to call the other two whales if they're close enough. I know we left them with the ship, which I think was a couple miles away, probably.
Yeah, it's 2 hexes away, which is 48
Okay,
miles.
never mind that. Never mind.
I still love just
I was
the image of
misremembering that plan.
sticking their head in the water and shouting.
It worked in the past.
Oh, I have to figure out what to do with a whole pod of whales now.
You don't want to just let them loose into the wilds?
Yeah, at some point. Yeah.
Well, you don't necessarily have to decide what to do with them. I mean, if our base of operations now is a ship, they can just travel with us and you can keep them safe.
I'm thinking, like, eventually they're gonna have to spread out because whales be eating a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Set up some serious krill farms. I could teach the whales agriculture.
Yeah. So I guess Dorothy comes out of the water like, I don't know, fucking Jason from Friday the 14th, just like rising and then like walks up to you. So how are the whales doing? Are they, they good or?
I think at this point, Viper's just sort of sitting in the shallow there, and out of, let's see, let me do some quick math here. Out of a total of 78 combined hit points, Viper has 4 wounds right now, and nothing else.
Okay.
Viper is looking kind of spent right now, and the whales are sort of being left to their own devices for the moment.
If you give me some time, so that I don't get possessed, I can literally touch you up if you'd like. In a bit. You're not gonna die on us, are you? Because I wouldn't like that.
You see the wounds on her arms and stuff are like, it just looks like what you would expect to look like if you chopped into a tree. The ones closer to her torso, though, and on her torso, the sap is very red and much closer looking to blood. But it's sort of the consistency of a stiff jam.
Oh God.
Well, that'll make the special effects budget easy when we make the show of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, just throw some strawberry at her. So I'm gonna do a thing right now. It's one of my special abilities. Hello, Sasha.
Hello and hi.
Hello. Do you want to introduce yourself quickly, Sasha?
Hi, I'm Sasha. I use NN's pronouns, and I play V, the heretofore absent tree.
Surely to return at any moment.
Any second now.
So what I was going to do is spend an action die and do a refresh, which will heal me up a bit on the spot.
Sounds good.
Roll this die, and we'll see how much for. 1d4. And go.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that's 1. So I get 2 wounds back and 1 vitality.
It's a start.
Yeah. But I think mostly if you paid close attention, you would see that the wounds on the skin parts of her torso, little fibrous tendrils start growing out of them and stitching back together.
Ooh.
Nice.
And so everywhere she was wounded grows back as wood.
Ooh, cool.
Oh, interesting. So some news. So do you remember our little conversation that we had earlier where you were like, "Oh, you can't worry about whether your magic is affected by doing evil in this world," and then I was like, "Oh, okay," and then we slaughtered an entire village, and then now I can do better magic. I can do better magic now. I'm worried. I'm very worried that I I'm worried about that. I am really worried, and I know ultimately that freeing your children was, maybe a net positive, but I don't think the motivation for doing what we did doesn't really, negate what we did. And I'm just a little concerned right now.
Well, Dorothy, what do you want to do about it?
I think what I want to do and what I want to do are two different things right now.
Well, what are they? What do you want to do?
I want to be the type of person whose desires and goals don't overrule the amount of cruelty that they bring into the world. I don't... To get access to the amount of power that it would be necessary to remove myself from this vessel and into a more comfortable one, a more appropriate one, whatever it is. I'm worried that if my predictions are correct and that my power grows with the amount of misery or evil that I bring into this world, I don't know if I can justify that. But I don't want to be stuck like this. It's already been centuries that I'm in this numb shell. But I don't think I shouldn't. If my predictions are correct, I shouldn't.
Can I cut you off? This is out of character.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. At this point, I think Viper's just gonna grab her and put her on her lap and just say, "Shut up for a minute." and continue basically being in pain and slowly healing. Slowly having her body become a tree while you're complaining about not having your own body.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
What's Madam V up to?
Yeah.
That's a really strong and good question. Where are we coming in on this?
Yeah, so if you'll remember, last session was killing a whole bunch of these sea devils that were in this community. And so Dorothy and Viper had a look around the space. Viper tending to the whales, and Dorothy having a look at the laboratory and the funerary site for the locals. We said that Madam V started heading back to the ship on Gentleman Moose to go and tell them that everything was a-okay since there was that issue with the flares.
There certainly was, yes.
But if you want to have been doing something else, that is of course fine. It doesn't even have to be like, oh, Madam V left the scene on Gentleman Moose to do something other than go to the ship. Madam V could have just been wandering around this area of her own accord.
It's true. I do like hiking back to the ship is both very practical and also means I don't have to have a conversation about not being in that fight whatsoever. So, yeah, I think
You and Gentleman Moose, you could get back to the ship fast as hell.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I will go back there and tell them to bring the ship in. I think.
Okay.
With the guidance of the whales.
All right. What is V thinking about? Because this is like a couple hours ride, right, from this community back to the ship. Well, let's see. It's 48 miles. Gentleman Moose goes 5 miles an hour.
Wasn't
or
it 7?
does he have superior traveler?
Let me look at my very good friend and lifetime companion, Gentleman Moose. Has a run of 250 feet. Has superior runner.
Okay, superior. I knew that he had superior runner or superior traveler, but I couldn't remember which it was. Because runner is like you're good at sprinting, travelers you're good at the marathon.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So he travels 5 miles an hour. So it's gonna be like about a 10-hour slog to get back to the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Through first swamp, and then through plains, and then to the beach. So what is V thinking about during this journey?
There's a lot of frustration that she's running through. A lot, like she's very embarrassed, and I think at a certain point, she starts to think about, okay, what do I tell the crew about what happened? And I have a pretty good sense that whatever I say to the crew, my Viper and Dorothy will back. And I'm just sort of like piecing together the details of the fight that I care about. And yeah, just sort of putting together the words that I intend to say, and thinking about like what we do with this establishment now that we have emptied it, is perhaps the most accurate term, and how how that coincides with the things that Ingrol has been working on, and the things that we were sent here to do. Right, this sort of initial expedition, and how much of that has so far ended in bloodshed.
Fair. Something I forgot to say earlier. Dorothy and Viper, if you can both add another connection tick for each other on the connection sheet, and then come up with a new belief for each other after that scene the two of you, that conversation the two of you had.
Where should I keep that?
There,
Oh,
there is a separate sheet that we have for it.
okay.
I'm on it. I'll just go ahead and fill in the block so you remember to write something there.
Okay, so V, give me a notice roll.
I would love to do this for you.
Let's see how in your own head you are.
Pretty in my head, I think. It's a 14.
It's a 14. That's okay. So yes, you, as a reminder, there was evidence that there was sparked on this island back a while ago. And you can see there, like, you get out of the swamp, out of the brackish waters of the swamp, and you come out into the plain and the tall grass. And if you were, 6 feet tall and not 10 feet tall on the back of a 20-foot tall moose, you would not be able to see this coming. That there is, you can see, in movies when they do that thing with the high grass where you can just see the lines of the grass being flattened. You can see 3 of those heading towards you at a slow pace. And there is the occasional crackle of electricity you can hear coming from that direction.
Oh, that sucks.
What do you want to do?
What do I want to do? I think I would like to. I don't think that I want to face them here in the tall grass where I can only kind of see them. So I'm gonna wheel Dylan Moose around and head for a much clearer space, so that either I can outrun them or I can try and kite them a bit better and handle them on my own.
Okay. To be clear, unless something goes fairly wrong, you can absolutely outrun them on Gentleman Moose.
Okay.
I think you catch a glimpse of them, and these are just people. It's not wolves or horses or something like that. They are wearing rags at this point. It's been 9 years since they changed their clothes, presumably. And it's the residents of that fishing village that you passed that was on the beach when you first arrived here hours ago. And so there's no trouble if you just want to get away from them. Because you spotted them coming. The only real concern is if you were going to be ambushed.
Sure. I'd like to call out to them. And because they see me, they know where I am. They're following.
Yes.
To some extent?
Yes. I imagine that you were probably walking Gentleman Moose at a reasonable pace and weren't rushing him.
No.
Yeah. So they were trying to sneak up on the two of you.
Yeah.
But they have the intelligence to sneak up?
It appears they do, at least these ones.
Um, I think I say something like, do we have business?
Are you trying to like scare them off or like actually engage in a conversation with them?
I want to see if I can engage in a conversation with them, because I don't think we've done that yet with this Bard. I would like to see if it's possible, because they seem smart.
Okay. Let me think. Give me an impress roll.
Okay. It's a 21.
That is a 21. So you see the lines in the grass stop. And there doesn't appear to be any sort of conversation amongst them as they go still. They don't approach closer, though. At least at this moment. Perhaps you caught them off guard in your reaction to their presence.
I think I'm doing that thing with Gentleman Moose where like a rider has stopped but the mount hasn't stopped moving. Like stepping back and forth and like stuff like that. And I say, you lot live on the coast, right?
Give me a sense motive roll.
Would love to. Sense, where does that live? Here it is. Oh, it's bad. It's a -1. All right, that's an 18.
Hey.
I'm guessing you have no ranks in it?
I have -1 in it. It's a thing. Yes, I have 0 ranks and
Okay.
-1 total.
So that means that caps out at 15. But that's not a 14 because of your penalty. It's just you rolled an 18, gets dropped to a 15.
Sure.
Okay. This may come as no surprise. There is a hesitance to them. They seem unsure of their purpose now. You don't get the sense of, like, they do not have full understanding of what you're communicating to them. But I don't think that it's possible to tell if it is a language barrier or if it is a inability to comprehend the concepts you are attempting to convey.
Okay.
It's more like they don't know what to do if you're not running away.
That could be it as well.
Not attacking, not running away. What is this?
Yeah. You're displaying none of the like flight, fight or freeze responses.
I think how far away are we from the village? The one that they would live there if they lived at that place.
Maybe like a hour or two of travel on Gentleman Moose.
Okay.
Like there is a fairly large distance between the community and the fishing village, and even the swamp edge and the fishing village.
Right. Well, in any case, you lot are very far from home, if you call that home still.
It was clear that place has not been inhabited in a long time when you'd passed through.
Right, right. Um, hmm. What what do you want?
Only Madame B would have a cordial conversation with zombies. Well, good day, sir.
Well, I want to be able to travel through this area safely. Um, and I'm a little shaken up about my capabilities in combat, and I don't want to face three of these things by myself. Having faced one thing earlier and failed very badly. So, you know,
Are you trying to like sort of shake them at this point? I'm just trying to read into the tone of voice that you were yelling. What do you want at them?
right. I I'm trying to get a sense of why they would attack me and what they're vying for. If it's like defending territory, or if it's like scavenging things or feeding on things, or yeah, if it's just an instinct they're following, that's also viable. But it's I I want to know.
Okay.
It's a good opportunity to do some field research, honestly.
Okay. Hmm. Do you have investigate?
Do I have investigate? Of all the characters to have investigate, would it be me? I have no, I don't. I have a -1 in that, but I can roll it.
Um. Yeah, I think that is. I mean, that or sense motive, and sort of a 6 of one, half dozen of the other, right?
Yep. Yep. That's about it. I don't really have anything to offer them as far as objects. I was thinking maybe of like I don't think tossing animal feed at them would be particularly impressive. So um
Eat oats, you suckers.
let's roll that. And that's a 16. So it's yeah,
Which becomes a 15, of course.
15.
Yeah, okay. One of them begins to like they were coming at you as like a group, and they start to two of them start to split off in opposite directions. And you can understand because you know animals, being the lancer, that they are basically like doing a pack hunting technique.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get the feeling that like their behavior is instinctual. They are not like they're defending their territory insofar as there is something that is not sparked in their territory. And but I don't think that like there's some common knowledge about sparked that most people have just because of, you know, word of mouth from survivors. And one of the things is that sparked don't eat people, right? Like they might bite people in a purely aggressive and attacking fashion, but they don't consume flesh. Most of the time, people who've died from sparked are beaten to death, and a combination of that and electrical burns. So they aren't hunting you in that sense. This is a again, it's hard to read them because they do not think like people or animals or plants do. Right?
Right.
Their behavior is illogical to most to the sentient folk that you've known all your life. But what you can read here is that they are trying to cut off avenues of escape for you.
Okay.
They might not understand what you are doing, but they understand that they have not lost this opportunity yet.
Great. Love it. I love it. Okay. The one who is still standing, I'm going to fire a warning shot at.
All right. Do you have any special abilities related to warning shots out of curiosity?
Is that of course it is I was about to ask if that was a thing in fantasy craft.
I mean, it would not surprise me if there is a warning shot ability. Or like stress. I think there actually is like stressful shot is actually a trick.
That's very funny. I have, let's see, I have, as far as guns are concerned, I have called shot, relentless attack, parry, which is only kind of related, and quick draw. Yeah. Called shot is about finding an opening in armor. Relentless attack is about attacking until something gets through. And parry is about knocking something aside before it hits. And also bullseye. Which is another thing where
Extra damage.
Yeah, extra damage. So
unnerving shot is a trick. I think that would probably be what that is, which lets you taunt with a ranged weapon, and also gives them a morale penalty to attacks. So you shoot at them. I will absolutely let you make an intimidate roll as like part of this, and
I'll do that, yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you a +2 bonus to your intimidate for making a loud noise and being a very large target.
Cool. That brings me up to 25.
Madam V, very good at scaring people, it turns out. Okay. So yes, you.
Well, you know what they say about tree walkers is that we're all bark and no bite.
Wow.
Yep.
This is a very good roll.
The shot rings out into the night, and a chunk of grass and dirt flashes upward near the standing target. The other two go still. You can see atop your perch. And then the three of them begin to pull back slowly, calmly. It is a calculated retreat. And because of your vantage point, you can see that they are still tailing you, but at a much greater distance. They're showing much more caution and are clearly more observing you at this point than planning on ambushing you.
I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take that. I'm gonna keep heading towards the ship.
Okay.
The level of respect I will ride on. Thank you.
All right. Dorothy and Viper. What have you been up to? It's maybe been like another 2 hours since the two of you had your cuddle on the riverbank, or not riverbank, but like in the shallows of the lagoon.
Well, I guess at some point, I would help get these corpses arranged in some fashion.
Yeah.
Even as much as I dislike them, that is sort of what Viper does. So.
I figure. Now, it's not the storm god that's been reborn, is it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Then.
Was the Storm Lord, the god of air, water, and travel.
Then Those are very important, very important domains. Um, I don't know. I guess maybe I'll sink them with some rocks into the ground because I have no idea how I would mummify them. Maybe I'll put them one of them on that table and see if magic happen since it's covered in blood underwater.
Okay, so
Is this what they do?
I guess you're just dragging one of these corpses down.
Mm-hmm.
How much does Dorothy weigh?
32 pounds.
Okay. I guess there's probably not been long enough for like the gases to have Dorothy become buoyant trying to sink one of these things.
Jesus.
That would probably take a bit longer.
Dorothy riding a corpse balloon through the ocean.
God.
Oof.
Boy,
Um, what a sight that would be. This haunted ass doll riding the floating.
SS corpse?
Yeah. Okay, so you drag one of the sea devils down below the water, down to this sort of amphitheater below the waves, with the table on top, and you put them upon the table. Do you want to like make a check of investigate or spellcasting to try and understand what might be going on here?
Yeah, sure. I'll do a spellcast.
Viper's on the scene too, just to see what's up.
Swimming
Just
around underwater.
30 for spellcasting check.
Okay. So, as you run your hand along the markings of the table, you can feel like there is a pull both to what are the spell points for Dorothy, like fictionally?
What do you mean?
Like, does Dorothy have a sense of mana? Is it part of her soul? Is it like pulling energy from the air slash water slash ground, whatever is around her? Like, where do the spell points come from?
Oh, I think that it is like physical energy for Dorothy. Like, when she's out of spell points, she is like brick of collapse.
Okay. So it's like a internalized energy in a sense. So how does Dorothy since
It's a lithium-ion watch battery. It's just
So how does Dorothy regain the spell points since she doesn't eat or sleep, so she's not regaining energy like via calories? And she
I
doesn't.
don't think Dorothy knows. There's a lot to magic that Dorothy does not understand. And
wow.
she
So
was
she's sort of just a creepy little arcane generator.
yeah. I mean, like, she was put into the doll relatively young. Not like she wasn't a baby, but you know, it was like she was quite unlearned when she was put into the doll. And she's done a lot of studies on it, but again, spellcasting is pretty rare and it's pretty secretive, at least her form of it, because on account of like at least somewhere along the generation, you have to appease some sort of either god or demonic force to gain access to it. So it is something that's contained within herself. However, like her bloodline's ability to use magic was granted by a higher force or a lower force, depending on what you see there.
Does she have any theories about where the the magical energy within her comes from?
Well, I mean, I guess her like most powerful theory right now is that maybe she runs off of evil. And she's concerned about that.
Okay. So yes, you can feel there is a sort of magnetic link between the table and the boxes, and it's trying the empty boxes, to be clear,
Hmm.
and it is trying to use that arcane energy within Dorothy as the like electromagnetic force that would pull them together.
Yeah, I don't trust this.
So you can tell that like if you put mechanically speaking, if you you can invest a spell point into the table, and it will activate the magical side of the rites, of the funerary rites.
Okay, I'll do it.
Okay, so you spend a spell point, and immediately the like dais you are standing upon and that all of the boxes are upon, there's like instantly a bubble of air down here that is dry. It is like desert bone dry down here now. There is no humidity in this air. If you had skin, I think you would find it uncomfortable if you were a human, to say nothing of the amphibious, or well, not quite amphibious sea devils.
Okay. I put the body in there?
So, so the cubes are small. They're
Yeah.
much smaller than like an entire body.
Uh-huh.
They contain just like the internal organs, and
Uh,
in fact, you can see even as like you are sort of examining things, the sea devil in front of you is starting to mummify.
okay. Um, do, should should I take the organs out and put it in?
Viper, are you entering this bubble, or are you staying like in the water?
Uh, um, we'll say Viper brought the corpse in.
So you're in the bubble too?
Right there at the table with it.
Okay. Are plants immune to heat damage?
Heat damage? I don't think there's anything special about heat damage. If it were fire, that would be a problem.
Yeah, no, this is heat damage.
As far as I know, heat damage just acts just as normal.
Okay. All right then. That is you take 7 points of heat damage, which is basically it is. I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, that it is essentially subdual damage that ignores armor. Oops, wrong document. But let me just double check that. Where is it? Heat damage immediately becomes subdual damage, ignores damage reduction. When it's inflicted by an extreme environment, an exposed character makes a survival check. Okay, so that's if like you are in the desert. So if you stay here, you'll need to make a survival check for every 4 hours that you remain in this space.
Okay.
But I'm guessing you're probably not going to be here for 4 hours.
Yeah.
So give me that fortitude save to resist that subdual damage you just took.
Alright. How much was it again? 7.
Yeah, so it's a DC 13 that you need to beat.
Make sure. Record that, and let me clicky this fortitude button. That's a 17.
Okay, so that you just have that 7 points of subdual floating then, for the time being.
Is she wilting?
Yeah, she probably is. Like, Viper, you can, like, physically feel your bark drying out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your hair was probably wet from, swimming underwater. It is instantly dry.
That usually happens.
It is instantly dry. Now that you are that this bubble has been activated.
Let's see. Does Dorothy have ranks in medicine?
I do. I don't have a doctor's kit with me though. And I get -4 to treat you because we're different species. Is it
I
4?
was not treating me just for, going through the process of appropriately eviscerating this body.
Oh. Well, I mean, I have tailor crafting, so
Yeah.
it's the same thing, right? There's no crafting surgery.
Well, no, surgery would clearly be covered by medicine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking another medicine roll with maybe a bonus from my knowledge of funerary rituals. To see if we can properly complete this.
I would also let you use survival if you were so inclined, because, like, dressing a deer, right, is not that dissimilar.
You're not entirely wrong. My medicine score is much higher, though.
Okay, and Dorothy, I guess you're helping as well?
I'll roll to assist.
Okay. And if you succeed, Dorothy, then Viper will get +2 because your connection with Viper just went up.
18?
Yeah, that's enough to assist. Okay, so
Okay.
Viper.
So in 11, the +1 from the interest.
Okay.
This
So it is more like tailoring then.
learning experience for both of us.
Well, to be fair, like, I would imagine that their internal systems is a lot different than a doll and a tree.
Probably.
Yeah.
Where's the dark core that powers their awful energy? I don't understand.
Where did they keep all their spiders?
I mean, Dorothy probably has 1 or 2 spiders in her. It's just,
Gotta do something about any flies that get in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this first one, it goes okay. I mean, you got above a 10. So, like...
It's not botched.
No.
But it's not pretty.
Yeah, like... I feel like if there is a god who is watching this and was, like, giving you the 3rd degree about whether or not you're gonna get this right, they'd be like, okay, all right, you tried. You get a B for effort. Like, no, there's definitely, like, probably way more of a mess than there's supposed to be, and you probably, like, lose something at some point. But
well, I'd imagine, like, a proper dissection, like, each individual organ is isolated and removed. But here we kind of have, like, the stomach with the lower, like, the intestines kind of part of it. And because we don't know. It's all just gobbledygook to us.
yes, so you put the pate in the box.
Mm-hmm.
And the like...
The gang performs dissection.
Oh, boy. Yep.
And Dorothy, as soon as you put the lid on the box, you can feel that it magically seals shut, and then the bubble collapses.
Cool.
And the two of you are back underwater again. And the corpse begins to rehydrate.
Oh God. I guess I just push it away, like into into the flow of the ocean.
Yeah, you actually so you actually see
Just-
something that you didn't notice upon your initial investigation, Dorothy, is that the seats have small holes in them, and you know how I think it's clownfish live amongst coral reefs. I
Oh
wanna
no, is
say.
there some kind of carnivorous?
Yeah, there's all these little, not big fish, small fish come out and they start nibbling at the corpse and
I hate it.
disposing of it.
Hagfish, hagfish,
Yes.
hagfish.
So
It's not hagfish. This room would be
It'd be gross, yeah.
too slimy.
so yeah, there's a bunch of little fish that come out to clean up whatever y'all missed.
I have a deep primal fear of carnivorous fish that I always forget about until they're on screen.
Yeah, let me tell you, Corey, the human being, not too hot on it either.
I'm so sorry, you two. I did not know.
No, I forgot. That's fine. It's beautiful circle of life. It's fine.
All right.
They're not here in the room with me.
Tell you what, Viper is going to take the corpse and take it out to part of a nearby reef and put it in a place where it can't float away. So it can be consumed off screen and contribute to the circle of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there are the two of you going to be doing the rest of the bodies?
Yeah, I'll eat the rest of the
Yeah.
spell point, and then we can just gloss over
Yeah.
it happening. Cool.
Yeah. That we absolutely will.
Say, at some point, Viper will find herself being a little more chatty than she was earlier, and
We're underwater, dude.
yeah, it's fine.
Well,
She's used to it.
whenever the bubble appears, you can have a chat. But that said, how in depth are you planning on having this conversation, Hadrian? Just because I'm thinking we should.
Not super. Let me give you the gist of it. Is Viper spends a lot of time talking about how death isn't evil. You can't die. I refuse to, and then where
And I will beat up the Reaper if he comes to me. So don't
Yeah.
even try it.
as we're outdoors, fetching more of them, I point to the whales and say they're always dying, and so is everything else. Death happens, and it's part of life. And look at them, and the whales, being happy and unfettered. Don't always think about death. And then that's it.
Okay. With that, we shall take a break, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes.
Death is omnipresent and unavoidable, but just don't think about it.
Yeah, don't think about it. Think about the part that happens before.
Obsess about dying. That's the part you should be
Painful
worried
death.
about.
Okay, we'll be back shortly.